Sometimes we set goals that are actually our backup plan and not like our overarching desire.
I am a doom scroller who is susceptible to seeing what other people have and wanting it, even if it doesn't make sense.
See all these farmers on TikTok and I just think I can go right into it. Maybe a little bit. That's where my delusion is. But I do feel like I'm in a place of doing the things that I actually want to do, and I'm not playing small.
Well, I am lucky enough to be blessed with a little sister who regularly tells me when I'm doing things that seem like they're not me. So if you don't have yourself a little sister, get you one.
I don't know. Would we schedule our time to go out to eat?
No.
I don't think so.
This is Sistas Declassified, the podcast where
Taylor
and Taryn,
your virtual sisters, share experiences, insights, and of course the juicy secrets that never leave the sister circle.
So shh, listen up. The Declassified convos are starting now. Welcome back to Sistas Declassified. We're the real life sisters who decided to start a podcast instead of setting goals that don't align with our dreams.
But before we get started, don't forget to subscribe for your weekly dose of declassified moments. And we're on our road to 100 subscribers, so we'd love to get there soon.
You know, fun fact, I think about 80% of the people who watch or listen to this podcast are not subscribed or following. So we know you're out there. We know you want to engage. Come on in. Join us, please. All right, so let's get into our declassified moment for today.
No filter, no fluff.
Chasing someone else's goals will leave you tired and unfulfilled. Real success is when your goals align with who you truly are. And I think that's a me to me.
You feel like you got some goals that don't align with who you truly are?
No, I just think I am a doom scroller who is susceptible to seeing what other people have and wanting it, even if it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And like a very clear example is like in the content creator space, when I see people getting invited to events,
mm-hmm.
I don't go to events in real life. So like, why do I want to go to these events
Right.
where like I don't actually like being at clubs or loud places or whatever, but like it looks cool to be invited and they look nice. Like that's not actually a goal I have.
But low key,
right? Like it's nice to be invited.
Right.
It's nice to be wanted in certain spaces or whatever where you like could see yourself. But the work it would take to get there, plus being there, I don't actually want.
Right. You'll be ready to go after 20 minutes or less.
Yes. And some of them be lying to y'all, to us. They be leaving after 20 minutes too.
They do. And I think they don't. I mean, sometimes I think they have fun, but generally it's work.
Yeah. It's work.
And I think we fail to recognize that when they're doing this stuff, even the things that are making it look fun,
mm-hmm.
they're literally acting. They're
That's
making
the job.
Things look fun. So yeah.
And it doesn't mean it's not a fun job, but it's a job.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a very easy example that comes to mind for me.
I know. I also thought of people who are like, you see Nora Smith or something for a little bit, and then you want to update your wardrobe. You also want to
do your
more
makeup
things from home. Just all the things, like just always be put together. And that's not necessarily realistic for your lifestyle, at least not all at once.
Yes.
Maybe you can get there one day, but
true. I would even think us in this podcast, one of the things we talked about was how do we want to present ourselves or come on here? Did we want to like do glam hair and makeup and all sorts of things every time and think about our outfit to coordinate? That's not really how we roll.
Right.
If this was already a new thing.
Right. So then to also be trying to dress every day and do my hair when I don't dress every day and do my hair.
You see what it is. You see what it is.
It didn't align with the real who we are. But it could one day. We could one day decide we want to set a goal that requires more effort in how we look.
Yeah, and we can talk about like the difference between short-term goals and long-term goals a bit later. But I think there are other things outside of like social media that people might also feel pressured to hit. I know for me, especially being recently married, I hear, when are you having kids? When are you having kids? That's the thing I hear a lot because of my age and station in life. But it feels like, is that my goal? Is that society telling me that you get married and then you do this and then you buy the house and then you do that? Or is it like actually what I want to do? So these are things I have to think about. I don't know if there's any like personal things you're also thinking about.
Where I need to align better or pressure to align maybe?
Well, I just think right now, I was thinking of just like examples where people might feel pressure, or if there are any examples in your life where you feel pressured.
I guess the main goal that's where there is pressure at this point is, when am I getting married? And when is that happening? And does that goal align with my lifestyle? And yes, it does. But
hint.
no hints needed. But But yes, I think that is where the main societal pressure that I have right now comes from. And it does align. So I don't know that I have any pressures right now
that are misaligned.
That are misaligned with my life. But I can think back to like an old self where I had wanted a daycare and I wanted to be opening it in order to have stability in my life, because my partner at the time, this was like right after college, I wasn't sure that we would be stable, but I knew I wanted to like,
you
I
wanted to be stable, right? She was gonna hold it down for her.
And so, but that wasn't necessarily what I wanted from my life, right? But I saw people in my life doing it, and I worked at one, and I just saw that, like,
you saw it was possible.
It was possible, and I had already achieved most of the steps in order to do so. And so it was like, this is a way that I could be stable for life, and I like kids, so let's just do that.
It seemed like a safe goal, almost like a smart and safe goal, like a backup plan, kind of.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes we set goals that are actually our backup plan and not like our overarching desire, what we really actually want. So now I do feel like I'm in a place of doing the things that I actually want to do, and I'm not playing small. Versus back then, I think I was playing small and
doing what you saw.
Also doing what I think was quick. So it was like, this is achievable. I can do it now.
Right. Versus the risk of waiting it out or choosing another path that maybe you hadn't seen before that didn't already fit your skill set.
And just like working as a therapist, right? That it's been taking years. I've been doing this for years.
It really has. It really has. And you still are working towards something. What are you working toward?
Towards my official license. So LCSW is the license that I am working towards. But yeah, so that's taken years. But back then, thinking about it was like, oh.
And now look at you. You're almost there.
Do it right. And so I guess just don't play small with yourself. That was my lesson I had to learn with myself, and how my goals didn't align. I was tired, right? And unfulfilled. I wasn't necessarily tired, because what I was doing was pretty easy at the time. I was like nannying and stuff. So,
but we talked about did we talk about the different types of rest, right? And so maybe you were tired in one way, maybe not feeling like, I don't know, energized in the right way, or like exercising the right muscles that keep you feeling motivated.
No, thankfully the mom that I was working with at the time, the baby I was nannying, she kept telling me, you are too smart for this. I don't know why you come to my house every day.
She said you're wasting your talents being a nanny, basically
all the time. She was, and like,
it's valuable work,
right?
It is valuable work.
And obviously I worked there for 3 or 4 years,
and she obviously appreciated you.
Yeah, like we had a great relationship, but she would always just be like, yeah, it's time for you to go. And not in the way of like, get out, because we had great bonds, but it was just like, I
want more for you. You want more for you. Go do it.
Yeah.
Go do it, baby.
Basically. And so I hope you all have someone in your life that tell you where your goals are misaligned, because she would be like, daycare. No.
Yeah. Well, I am lucky enough to be blessed with a little sister who regularly tells me when I'm doing things that seem like they're not me. So if you don't have yourself a little sister, get you one.
But also, don't get me wrong, because daycare is a great business, and I think I would be extremely happy to do it. But I think she was just saying that it wasn't fulfilling to me. Right. She could see that it wasn't fulfilling to me.
She's like, I see you and my kid.
No,
is that really what you want to do?
Not even. Well, I think just generally, she's like, kids. Is that really what we do?
Well, that's her personal feelings, right? Yeah. So, which is funny.
But it was just, we just talked about many things in the world and the things, and she's just like, I think you want to do something else
based on what you're passionate about, or like what else I hear you talk about. That makes sense. And that's cool that she took the time to tell you what she saw in you.
It was helpful, I have to say. Her helping me, I think, helped me to identify what my like true self goal was, and the deeper why of why I had set that goal. Because I didn't realize it at the time, why I set that goal. I just was doing it.
Right. You saw a problem and you found a solution.
It just seemed like, this is a great next step. This is a great idea, until like the ground got shaky. And I realized, oh, what am I doing? Why am I doing this?
And who am I doing it for?
Right. And so I had to start assessing that. And then it made me further realize, like, okay, you want to do something else, but you felt like that was going to take you too long to be stable.
Yeah, and it's like, too long according to who, and stable for whom, and right, and then you get into like the why of it all.
Right.
So I guess that's important for us to just like put a stamp on, how do you identify your true self goals?
Mm-hmm.
So I think what I heard you say is asking about the deeper why, like questioning why you've set a goal or why you're trying to solve this problem, because that's really what our goals are, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
problems we have or something we haven't achieved that we're trying to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And so then after we do that, we then figure out like which goals feel like, what do we do next? I don't know. Like once we know,
I feel like the goals that feel more uncomfortable are the ones that you should go for. And maybe
uncomfortable.
Maybe uncomfortable is not the right word, because I know people are like, well, when I'm more comfortable is when I'm willing to do something. Like,
right.
But maybe the one that is a little bit more scary.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think when I think about myself, the goals that I probably should shoot for are the ones that are scary, and like that's the uncomfortable. And it's usually because I think I won't get it, and I think I should. Does that make sense? Like there's certain things like applying for a job. Mm-hmm. Like I recently applied for a job and I got it, and I really thought I should. But part of why I didn't initially apply for it was because if I don't get this job, I'm gonna be pissed off. Mm-hmm. For many reasons, right? I work at a great place, but for many reasons. But mostly like embarrassment, ego, it would feel bad. Mm-hmm. And so part of why I was like, nah, I don't really want this thing. I don't think that's a goal I have. I think my goals are elsewhere. Was because I was scared that I wouldn't get it and how that would feel.
Right.
And so I totally agree with you that oftentimes it is about like, are you just scared you're not going to get there? Are you scared it's going to be hard? Are you scared of the work?
Right.
And sometimes that could be enough to make you not want to do something or something not to be aligned, mm-hmm. right? Like you might not want to skydive. That might be too scary, right? It's like a spectrum, you know?
Right.
And so it's about finding, I guess, where the uncomfortable is, or the next highest leverage uncomfortable
exposure
step. Yeah, there you go. Get into the language.
What can you expose yourself to that's still kind of leveling you up a little bit, but also reasonably uncomfortable?
Right, because ultimately you don't want it to be a draining goal. Mm-hmm. Because if it's draining or if you're going to burn out in the process of trying to get there, you're probably not going to do it. Right. Which, again, self to self, social media, all my content creation stuff. I'm like, I feel like I'm on a hamster wheel. And sometimes I feel that way at work too, but the goals are a little clear there versus like the vast space that is the internet.
Mm-hmm. But I also think, I don't know, I think maybe a lot of people do create goals also because they see other people achieving those goals, and so they decide that those goals are important, if that makes sense.
Like to be with the people that are achieving those things, or to have the status of
to have the status, also just like the lifestyle that someone
the assumed has. Lifestyle.
The assumed lifestyle. So kind of similarly to what you were talking about wanting to go to a party when you don't even like parties. I don't know.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a part of the misalignment, right? Is like you see something, you think you want it, so you write it down because it sounds nice, but you haven't, done the things we said, which is really interrogate where it's coming from, the root of it, and how it actually fits into your life and what you're going to change to get there.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think life is going to actually be like once you've had it?
And are you, is your goal for the new lifestyle or your goal for achieving the thing? Because I think that's also something that's separate. Because like I could want a master's, right? Because I don't have one. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Do I want that because my sister has one and like she sounds educated and why are you rolling your eyes?
Because what is educated anyway?
Well, but that's the point, right? Because of the status, I believe it provides her in these conversations that I don't feel like I have because I don't have the same education, right? So I like defer to you on certain things.
Meanwhile, I'm like,
because she's the expert. But do I really want to be I don't know. Do I really want to go get my master's, or do I just want that because it
sounds cool?
It sounds cool.
I can tell you now, it's not that cool.
Well, if you don't really want it, right? Like you talked about the journey it took you to get there, and it was a long one. And part of why you started about thinking about daycare or elsewhere, it was because the path seemed shorter or more direct than the harder path you're on, which I think has probably ultimately been more fulfilling, right? But that's the balance.
It's definitely something to consider, and I think, yeah, is what most people are teetering on when they're trying to decide if their goals align. Just asking yourself, it sounds like, who is the goal for? Why did you set the goal in the first place? What sparked your desire for that goal? And what do you think your life is going to be like after you achieve that goal? Because I feel like, I don't know if we always consider that part.
Like, are you ready for what's on the other side of achievement?
Because like, even for a therapist, right? You go through school, you think you're just going to sit with these people and help them to think through their lives so that they can function independently or whatever. But like, they don't talk about clients you might have for 4 years who are talking about the same things, or clients who are going to psychosis, or, you know, like all the things that fall into this lap of being a therapist. I can't say that when I was talking to this kid's mom back in the kitchen that I considered what my actual day-to-day life would look like.
Good point. Good point.
So I think that is really important when you think about if your goal align. Like me wanting a farm, Brandon's always like, because listen, there's some farmland I've been looking at, and Brandon is like,
she's serious.
He's like, you really want a farm?
You do.
He's like, do you understand that you're gonna have to get up
every day, whether you want to or not, toil that land?
Not just that, but like, you have to know what kind of soil. Like, you have to be able to. Anyway, all kinds of things. I'm not about to tell you how to farm.
I mean, it's trial and error.
It's trial and error, but he's trying to help me be in alignment with my goal and like realistic about what is my day-to-day life going to be like if I have
a farm. Well, maybe you should do some journaling on that, you know? Like,
no,
I do.
Okay. And I had answers for him while we were talking about it. And I am realistic in that it's going to take a long time.
Right, so you're going to start with your garden.
Right. He's like, how about a house with a nice yard?
Yeah. Like,
start there,
toil that first.
Right. So that's where I have to manage my goals, right? As it aligning, because I see all these farmers on TikTok and I just think I can go right into it. Maybe a little bit. That's where my delusion is. But anyway,
there are worse delusions.
There are worse delusions. But I think we should all consider thinking about what our goal will be and how our life will be after we achieve.
Yeah, so everybody take a moment right now and think about your goals. Are they for you? Are they aligned?
I feel like it's a bigger question. You'd have to pause the episode for.
Okay. Fine. Then let's just talk about, I don't know.
How do we authentically align our goals to our life? I think we talked about some questions to ask, but then once you've asked those questions, where do you go from there? I think is right what we're at. So I guess we know we need to define what it means to align your goals. And so I think before you can align your goals is thinking about what you value. So thinking maybe top 2 or 3 values with your top 2 or 3 goals.
Okay.
And do those match up with each other? And maybe it's not your top 3 values, because you might have more values that go into your goals.
Yeah, but I don't know that you can hold more than 3 to 5.
Sure.
At a time.
Sure.
That is. Right. You might find that throughout the year your goals evolve and you rotate, but I think 3 to 5 feels good. I like that.
Yeah. Like, one of my top values right now is freedom. So I think that is why my goals all are working towards some sort of freedom, whether that's in my career. So like working more for myself, or being able to work remotely.
Amen.
So I can have more freedom and time. Or like, I have a goal of like being debt free, right? So that I can do what I want and buy what I want and not be a problem. Also having like more passive income so that I can, with my free time, whatever I want to do. So those are all aligning to freedom, right? But I also still value, like, I don't know, what's another value that I have? Like,
family, friendship.
Well, I was going to say actually helping.
Okay, helping.
I think helping others is my other value. So like my career is still working.
So being of service to others.
I think I keep saying farm, but ultimately I don't necessarily want to farm, but more like a big Oh,
You just want to be like, you want to be more natural, holistic.
Agricultural.
Yeah. One with the earth.
Yes. So I think being able to like grow food and give that to other people is still working towards helping others and expanding in that way. That's where I urge you all to think about where your value is and whether your goals align with that.
Yeah. And then you got to be honest about the things you need to adjust or drop. Like for me, circling back to the content creation, I had to be real about the types of partnerships or brand deals I think I should or could get, because I don't go nowhere. So I shouldn't be expecting or setting goals around, I don't know, going out or getting invited to these places when I don't network that way and I don't enjoy it. So that's something to drop. Right. And I think sometimes you can find that you already are living a goal when you do this as well. Again, content creation, because I don't have a life, guys. This is what I do.
I'm like, girl, we can't talk about this every week.
We can. I look at this podcast and the fact that we've been super consistent in all of our episodes. This is the most consistent I've been with creating anything and posting weekly on YouTube specifically. And so, like, I'm already living some of the things I thought I wanted to achieve. It just took some adjusting and tweaking about, the delivery of it and who I do it with to get there. And so I think sometimes just doing the reflection can show you that you've already done it, or you've already done it in a different way than maybe you had originally set out to do it.
And I think that leans on the being flexible piece of like your goals might start to look slightly different than what you thought they would be, and allowing for that and not like being rigid around it. Because I guess using your example for yourself, you just wanted to be a content creator on your own. Right? Yeah. And I would be like, well, why don't you collab? Or why don't you try to do this? And it's like, no. Even with this podcast, I'm like, let's bring on a guest. She's like, no.
That's not. I said we should talk about how we structure it. Is all I said.
Right. That's what she said. That's all I said. So it's just like there's these ways that we can be flexible to help us to achieve our goals. And yeah, I think that's just something that we can always consider. So practicing flexibility. And I think obviously the last one is just being intentional. So having little steps every day that get you to your goal. And when you do those little steps, I think you start to see whether you're in alignment or not. Because if you have to get up and do the little step and you don't feel like it, right? Then maybe that's partly telling you that that is not a goal you actually want.
Right. It's been 4 weeks. And every Monday you get up to go to, I don't know, pottery.
I don't know. Yeah, pottery.
And you hate it. You hate it. Your hands are dirty. It's cold in the room. But you wanted to be an artist this year because you wanted to try to sell art online.
Right.
No.
That's obviously not what you wanted to do, right? So, or you decide you wanted to write a book. But every time you sit down to go write, you're like, let's just go on YouTube. Let's go online shopping. Right? Whatever your goal is. If it's not only that you don't feel like doing it, but also can't attend to it while you're doing it, then maybe that's not necessarily something you want.
Yeah. And I mean, pay attention to what you're feeling in those moments. Sometimes it could be the overwhelm of it all is too much. And maybe that you haven't broken up the task enough for it to be achievable for you to do it in that moment. Because sometimes we're trying to do things that are uncomfortable. And maybe you thought you were going to write your whole business plan in these 2 hours you set aside. And that's not real. Because that's huge. But maybe you need to write down like who you want to serve, right? And that's the first step. So back to those small steps. Make them small.
Make them small. Make them reasonable. And then really just check in with yourself as you move through those small goals. Because then I think you'll realize like, I love this. Or even if you don't love it while you're doing it, if you can look back on the days you hated and find satisfaction in it.
Be like, it wasn't that bad or it was worth it.
Right. Then it's like, okay, maybe I do. This is for me, but I'm just like not really, I'm learning.
That tip is for me because girl, in the moment I'd be like, fuck this. I hate it. I'm real expressive, real emotional if y'all haven't picked that up. And I could look back 2 days later and be like, ooh, wasn't that big of a deal.
Definitely. Well, my things are more pushing in like the artistic space. So like my little paintings I've been working on whenever I'm
still waiting for my pot.
Girl, that's a whole nother story. They gave away my pots.
What?
But yeah. Anyway, but
life of an artist.
I sit with my paints and I'm like sometimes I follow a video, so I'm trying to achieve the video's painting, and I'm like, this is terrible. All right, I'm about to be done with this. I'm over it. I need to wrap it up. But then when it's over and I'm done with it, I'm like, okay,
I
I
did
kind of
good.
like it. And then Brandon like put it up in the reel. I'm like, oh, it's nice. Thanks.
Like, you like it? Okay.
Okay, I'm doing something cool. Awesome. So then it's like, okay, maybe I do like this hobby. It's just that I'm not that good at it right now.
Yeah, and while you're doing it, it brings up some insecurities you have about being good at it, which is uncomfortable.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it's good to practice being uncomfortable, and your goals are a good place to do that if you set yourself up to do it safely.
So maybe not always your goals per se, but your hobbies.
You can have a goal to, yeah, I was like, no, you can have a goal to have hobbies.
But I'm just saying like that sometimes a hobby can be a safe space to mess up versus goals that are towards like your life.
Yes.
But yeah, I think those are our kind of little thoughts or ideas in aligning your goals to your true self.
Yeah, because we couldn't just talk about it without giving you some practical tips to get there yourselves.
And we've had some other videos in the past about how to be your true self, because you might need to know that first before you know how to align your goals to that person.
I'll link it in the cards for YouTube, and then on Spotify and stuff, I'll put it in the show notes.
Cool. So I guess we can get into our sister circle question for today, which is just for you all to think about one goal that you have that maybe doesn't align with you or serve you anymore. And how can you adjust it or be flexible to allow it to match the life or true self that you are now? And you can reflect on it, share it in the comments below if you like.
Please share.
And
I'm curious.
Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Bye.